Hi everyone, my name is Will, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to replace the battery on the Kia Stinger GT Limited, or if you're an American watching, the Stinger GT1 or GT2. This is the model with the 3.3 liter twin turbo V6. Now the battery is located below the trunk floor, and this video is for do-it-yourselfers who either have to replace their batteries because it's dead, or if you're like me, maybe you just like to replace batteries every few years as preventive maintenance. For me and all my vehicles, I like to replace them every 3 years, regardless of the cost, the warranty, or whether it's still working or not, just as preventive maintenance, because I don't want to be in a situation where I'm getting ready to go to work, I have an important meeting that morning, and I get into my vehicle and I realize it doesn't start. That can throw a wrench in your plans and really inconvenience you. So, especially with these newer vehicles, with the Stinger being an example, there's a lot of electronics on these vehicles. There's a lot of electronics that are still kind of running in the background even when the vehicle's off. And I don't like the automatic start-stop system on vehicles, but whenever that system is activated and the engine's off while you're waiting at a red light, it relies on a battery to power a lot of accessories in the vehicle. So there's a lot of stress on these types of batteries, and that's why in the Stinger, this vehicle uses a special type of battery called an AGM battery. And this kind of design is a bit more robust. It lasts longer. It provides more cranking power. But I just think for a vehicle like this with so much electronics, it's never a bad idea to replace it sooner than expected as preventive maintenance. So if you're up for the challenge, keep watching. All right, let's rock. So first step is you got to take everything out of your cargo area. All those covers there, in order to get to the battery. And there's a spare tire there. There's a threaded plastic retainer that holds it in place. You just pull that off, and the spare tire is not too heavy, thankfully. And these are the tools that you're going to need. So if you don't know what these tools are, you probably shouldn't attempt this job. But they're all basic tools, thankfully. So this is how the battery looks like. That's a negative terminal, and this is the positive terminal. You just got to press in on that release tab there to get that cover off, and that's how the positive terminal looks. This bracket here is to hold the weight of the spare tire, and there's three 12mm bolts holding it. There's also one 10mm nut that we'll be taking off later on to get the positive terminal off. There's also two 12mm bolts. That's the battery retainer plate, and then this is the vent for the battery that we pull off later on. So very important, always remove the negative terminal first, not the positive. Always a negative first. So you use the 10mm, loosen it just enough, you pull it off, and then you get it out of the way so it doesn't touch the terminal. Okay, so afterwards we do the positive. So again, 10mm. That nut that's closest to the terminal we loosen first. Pretty easy. And then we get off that 10mm nut that I mentioned earlier on the side. Another 10mm nut we got to get off. I already took it off there, but that's to allow that little terminal to be out of the way when we take it off later. You can take that piece off too. That's also 10mm. At this point, there are three harnesses you got to unplug. So that's the first one. The second one is that little one there that's in white in the middle there. And there's a third one behind that terminal cluster right there. Just got to press and pull out. That's going to give us space to take the entire terminal assembly off. You can see that's how it comes off. Just be really careful that you don't bend any wires. Alright, so now we got to take off the bracket. So again, three 12mm bolts. You can use your hand tools. I personally, just for speed, used my impact gun. Now, I don't recommend using the impact gun to tighten, but to loosen, it's fine. It just makes the job quicker for me. So that bracket comes off. Pull off that vent plug. You just need some gripping power, but it'll come off. And then you take off that plate. So again, those are 12mm bolts. And then that's it. While there are spare tires out, add some air into it, because you never know when you might need it. And yeah, that's me putting the battery in, and the installation is the opposite of removal. That's all there is. And this bracket piece is actually kind of interesting. I actually thought it held the battery in place, but it's actually just a support for the spare tire. It's actually this plate that does all the work, keeping the battery in place. And then you can see on the other side there towards the front of the vehicle, there's a little plate welded in where the battery sits under. So neat design. So the battery that you'll need is an H8 battery. I got it from Costco, the Energizer brand. It's got a good warranty. And just a final tip about the vent piece. You can see those ribs there. That helps keep it in place, and when you stick it in, you just got to make sure it sits flush against the side of the battery. That's all she wrote. That's how it looks, all installed. Alright, one more step. We're not quite done yet. So once you get everything back together, the tailgate is not going to close. You need to reset the tailgate. So how you do that, you press that button and you press that button there and you hold them together for 3 seconds. If you need instructions, you can find it in your owner's manual. But basically all you do is you hold it for 3 seconds so you hear the beep. Alright, and then you close the tailgate manually. And once you close the tailgate manually, go back inside and you use the switch on the lower dash there to open. And if you set it correctly, if you reset it correctly rather, the tailgate should open. Thanks very much for watching this video, and thanks for making it this far. I hope the instructions I provided helped. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to type them out and I'll try my best to answer them. There's one final point I want to make too for Canadian Stinger owners. The battery is only good for 3 years in terms of the warranty. So it's 36 months from the day your vehicle is registered. So the bumper-to-bumper warranty is 5 years or 100,000 kilometers. But for the battery, it's only 3 years, unlimited kilometers. Just wanted to point that out. Thanks again.